This
Uh,
conference will now be recorded.
Okay, I was like, what's going on? When I just told me, how you doing,
what's up,
sir?
man?
Nah, thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you for taking the time.
No.
Are you in training right now, or what?
So off-season training. So yeah, so a couple of guys out here in Sacramento, some guys from the local team out here, and then some guys that are just from here, the area that spend their off seasons in Sacramento. We
Okay,
train, we train a couple times a week. Um, so try to do the COVID protocols as best we can. And then some guys have their like own workout programs, but it's good because I gotta get. I'm the one that's like connecting everybody, so I set it up, and then so my phone's always blowing up like, are we training today? Are we not? So, but it's good.
what time
It's
are you
good.
normally training in the morning, or what time do you
Oh no,
normally
yeah,
get
we
back?
try to get out the way, get in the morning, 8 o'clock, out by 9:30, 10, and then let everyone go about their day.
Nice, well, good
No,
deal,
no,
good deal. So I was trying to get all my little notes ready for you.
no
Um,
worries.
well, let me get my little intro out the way, and like I said, we can kind of dive into it from there.
Perfect.
Um, Hey guys, what's going on? This is Pat Brown. I'm a financial advisor with Edmonds Duncan Investment Advisors out of Lawrence, Kansas. Played football for University of Kansas years and years and years and years ago. Was started for 3 years. Was a team captain my senior year. Enjoyed my time at the university. Met a lot of great people, and became very passionate about financial literacy for student athletes, which led me down this path of interviewing former student athletes with the hopes that their stories, success and failures, current student athletes can learn from and form those habits that will better prepare them for the future as far as financial matters are concerned. Um, I want to introduce my guest. And before, actually, I'm sorry, real quick, before I do that, let me just go ahead and read the definition of financial literacy. I've always been doing this before these interviews just because I'm under the impression a lot of guys and young ladies have this impression that financial literacy means that they're not necessarily the brightest or smartest. And I just want to put that to rest.
I love that.
Financial literacy is the possession of a set of skills and knowledge that allows an individual to make informed and effective decisions with all their financial resources. And I always likened it to just being a student athlete. You already have those habits already inside of you as far as being a student athlete. So if you can take those habits and correlate them to something such as financial literacy, I think it's a natural fit. It's just exposure. So having said that, and I want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. So it's Moby.
Amobi, yeah, you had it right.
Oh, okay. Amobi Akugo.
Yeah, Okugo, yeah, Amobi Okugo.
All right. Okay. So
Yeah.
um, I came across you because naturally, and for those that are hopefully watching, and some of you guys may already be familiar with his website and his platform as well. But that's what came out first before I even found out that you're a pro soccer player. Um, a frugal athlete. That's the website, right?
Yes, sir. www.afrugalathlete.com. I'm glad you
Okay.
said that you didn't know I was a professional athlete before the website. That means we're doing good things.
Yeah. Well, when like I said, I was just looking at this platform in general. And I'll kind of touch on that a little bit later on, because this kind of interview is probably going to be a little bit different because we do have very similar, I guess, platforms and just passions with regards to the financial literacy piece. Um, but like you, and I think I was looking at some of your other interviews, when you talk about a frugal athlete, you saw the ESPN 30 for 30 going broke
Yeah.
and that kind of, so very similar. I watched that same, episode and same thing, except kind of going, obviously I'm a little tad bit older than you, but going a little ways back, I'd always had this passion, which kind of birthed from the end of my time at KU, and we had a class. It was an experimental class from transition from college to the workplace, and it just had a bunch of athletes in it, and we just talked about the investments, insurance, basically stuff that you would have to deal with after college, and a lot of that stuff went over my head. Both my parents, college educated, we just didn't talk about that type of thing, so a lot of it went over my head, and so became very passionate about it. And then ever since I left the university, I just really want to kind of come back and kind of more or less, if I can have some help other student athletes, I thought that would be great. And long story short, fast forward, Wayne Simeon, who was All American for KU basketball, he reached out and said, "Hey, Pat, You want to talk to the guys, and that's what kind of spurred this on
No.
a number of months ago. So, having said all that, again, I want to introduce you, frugalathlete.com, and then, like I said, you're a professional soccer player. And I'm not even gonna lie, soccer in my world are two. I used to play soccer years and years ago. That was my sport before I got into football. But if you can kind of just dive into, your profession real quick, because I don't, I got stuff here, but I just don't want to butcher it for who you play with and your position, everything. If you can kind of dive into that a little bit for me.
No, first and foremost, thank you so much for having me on. It's always great to connect with not only former athletes that have played at a high level, but ones that are, using their influence and resources to give back, and especially, something that we're both passionate about, financial literacy. But a little bit about myself. Yeah, professional soccer player, first generation Nigerian American, born and raised in California. I've been playing professional soccer since 2010. After UCLA, my freshman year, I got drafted in the first round in the MLS Super Draft to Philadelphia Union. Spent 5 years there, bounced around, signed a new contract with Orlando. Actually went to your neck of the woods, got traded to Kansas City.
Oh,
From there, went to Portland for 2 years, 2.5 years, 2 years, whatever. And then most recently, I've been with Austin Bold for the last 2 years in the second division. So
wow.
yeah, it's been quite the journey, lots of ups and downs, but wouldn't change it for the world. And that's my soccer career from that standpoint. And I know we're
Okay.
probably going to get into more as we continue the podcast.
Yeah, definitely. We'll definitely dive into that a little towards the end. But because of the fact that your college career was really short, um, did you have any exposure to credit, savings, budgeting, anything of that nature when you're coming to school?
No, I was fortunate enough to have a full ride scholarship, so basically everything was taken care of. The dorm expenses, utilities. The only thing was the cafeteria.
Uh-huh.
You got it like on a little like swipe card, so you just had to make sure you uh, rationed out your swipes because you only get a certain amount. So that in terms of understanding swiping, that's the only like practice I got from a financial standpoint on the college scene.
So then when you start making decisions dealing with money, and I don't know with soccer how different it is with football. We had, again, years and years ago, when I played, we had a stipend that we get each month. And I would imagine it's somewhat similar. So did you have to kind of manage that uh, from a standpoint?
Yes, yeah. So we had to manage the stipends that we got, and we got per diem. Fortunately, I was a freshman, so we didn't have too much of a stipend because everything else was paid for. But for like the sophomores, juniors, and seniors that lived off campus, they got a stipend, and that's when you really had to ration it out because you can use your whole stipend check on your rent, or you could
Right.
use it to do a couple different things in terms of being comfortable, having roommates, and then having enough money to pay for your groceries or other like miscellaneous expenses that you have. Where you have some guys that are like, oh yeah, I got my stipend check, I'm gonna get the best apartment, live by myself, and then they have no
Yep.
money for groceries or anything else like that.
So the first of the month they're paid, and the second of the month they're broke.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, and I've seen that quite a few times. Again, I think it transcends through time. People make the same, unfortunately, the same mistakes over and over. Um, so then, was it more or less trial and error that particular year? And again, we're working with a finite space because you were just there your freshman year, but um, throughout that year, I guess you really didn't have, would you say, many trials and tribulations as far as dealing with money, as far as again spending everything you had one weekend and not having
Yes.
anything later?
So for me, I was very fortunate. I didn't really have to pay for anything. And the things that I did pay for, I would use the per diem that we got on the road trips or the stipend that I
Hmm.
had. But there wasn't really too many expenses from my standpoint. I didn't have any bills. I was under my parents' phone plan. Healthcare was taken care of. Um, you know, and when it came to like clothes, I just rocked out our team gear. So I was very fortunate as a freshman being able to with the fortunate situation of being on a full ride scholarship. But for the older guys and the people that were on partial scholarships,
Hmm.
they had to adjust a little bit differently. What I will say is that when I went pro, it was way different than being on a full ride scholarship.
I can only imagine. And I meant to say this earlier, full disclosure, my daughter, she just finished up at USC, and I understand
Oh,
USC and UCLA.
yeah. Oh, man. Nah, USC is a great program as well. I can't hate on it.
You can
It's a
hate them.
great program.
I had to throw that out there. Had to throw it out there. So, looking back, and again, I know you just had a finite amount of time, but are there anything that you wish you would have done differently as far as dealing with money or savings or anything of that nature? Because again, I know you really didn't have to do much as far as spending.
Yeah, so from the college standpoint, I wish, I mean, before I went to college, I didn't know I was going to be there for such a short period of time. So I would
Hmm.
have probably chose my electives better. So I did climate change. I had a mandatory English class, and then I think it was like a, calculus class that I had to take, or AP I don't even know what type of calculus class it was. So
Right.
if I would have known I was leaving so soon, I would have took like a, intro to sports management or econ or something where it's like, all right, I'm going to use this to apply to, when I go pro. Outside of that, definitely would have networked more. UCLA being the campus that it is, you have a lot of, smart people, not only, within your team and sports setting, but, the countless other students that go there. And then from the standpoint of a money situation, taking the stipend, taking the per diem, and not just hoarding it and like saving it. I would have like if just like a little fund. It doesn't have to be a lot. Just having it there, learning a little bit at a time would have helped me tremendously. Once I do start making like a real amount of money and then applying it because I already had the 3 to 6 months of experience of understanding a stock, understanding a bond, a mutual fund, what's the difference between a regular stock and a dividend stock, ETFs, all these different things where, once I started getting money, I learned. But if I would have went into college and used like my stipend or my per diem and just
Yeah.
a little bit, it's not even, less than $1,000. That $1,000, could have, sprungboard a lot of, wonderful situations had I applied it correctly.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's interesting. You one of the things that you mentioned, I just want to kind of touch base on the networking aspect of it. You mentioned networking. I think it's one of the first times I've heard that doing, these interviews. I think a lot of the student athletes really don't realize the importance of networking, and not networking from the, standpoint of I'm trying to get something from someone, but just networking and really developing those relationships for later on in life. That's like I said, it's more or less it's kind of interesting that you mentioned it. I'm glad you mentioned it. So then, some of the habits that you did form in college, again, short-lived, um, have they have they affected life after college? I mean, did you learn something and habit-wise that you really were able to take with you after college and kind of build on?
Oh yes, most definitely, and I definitely I want to touch on the networking aspect of it again because you brought
Yeah,
it
yeah,
up. There's
yeah,
nothing more important than that .edu. So use it while you have it because you're able to connect with not only your peers that are there with you, but alumni and your
yeah.
professors and teachers, and they're meant to help you succeed. So take it and use it to your advantage. Build those real relationships because you never know down the line when you'll be back at school or when you may need a connection. You move to a new city, you look up like alumni that's in this area, and those are some of your first connections that you can make. So just wanted to touch on that, reiterate,
Absolutely.
love that you brought it up again. And then from the standpoint of taking some things that I learned from college, the fact that you're gonna have to do it yourself if you want it to get something done. When we're growing up as kids, our parents, they sacrifice so much. Whether it's parents, family, friends, family, taking us to the practices, taking us to the games, taking us to school. When it's 8 o'clock in the morning and you got that class and it's just you can either get up or you
Yep.
can go to sleep. I'm not even gonna lie. First 2 weeks, 8 o'clock class, I was like, all right, yeah, I gotta make sure. By that third week, I was like,
That's a wrap.
yo,
That's
can
a
you take the
wrap.
notes for me? I'm missing it. But that's the discipline that you need. No one's gonna do it for you. You got to get up and do it yourself. Because if you want the reward, you got to put the work in. So, um, when you don't have someone coddling you, and then that's something that I've applied. As I've gotten older and professionally, I'm competing with guys that have to put food on the table for their families.
Yeah.
And I could wake up early and make sure I get the work in because they're trying to take my spot, or I can just like, nah, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow might not happen. Tomorrow they might bring someone else in to take your spot. So learning that at college, like, you know no one's watching you. You got to be able to push yourself, motivate yourself. My parents shouldn't be the ones like, it's time to go to practice. No, it's time to go to school. It's time to finish your homework. No, it's on you. And I think that's the one lesson that I loved about college, is that even though you still have that team camaraderie, some people are going to go pro, some people aren't. The fact that you're there on your own, and unless you like have a cool roommate, you, people ain't going
Right.
to help you. Yeah, people ain't going to
Right.
help you. You got to do it yourself.
You gotta do it yourself. That's right. Um, and we're getting towards the end of these initial questions here, but what would you say, or what's some of the pitfalls you would hope that your story could prevent for younger student athletes out there, whether it's soccer, whether it's football, basketball, what have you?
Yeah, so fortunately for me, I can't really call too many like serious pitfalls that were like really like life changing. I've
Hmm.
been very fortunate and blessed to have, a very good, life and career, and so many, wonderful people around me to help me succeed at the highest level. But what I will say is that you need to understand your path is your path. So, you might be a freshman and you might have to, redshirt a year. But that doesn't mean you're not going to have a good sophomore, junior, or senior year. You might get injured. Coach might not like you. You might transfer. So what I'm really trying to say is that there are many ways to the top of the mountain. Understand the journey that you're on. Don't compare yourself to the five-star recruit, or if you're a walk-on, embrace that. There's still a chance to get a scholarship. There's still the fact that you're on the team. It doesn't matter how you got there. You could be on financial aid, you could be a grant, you could be full scholarship, no scholarship, partial scholarship. The fact that you're on the team, that's the accomplishment within itself. So now, what are you going to do with that? So what I will say is that you really have to understand the journey that you're on. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. Obviously, use your peers, use your competitors to serve as a barometer, but don't let it be the end all be all that um, that you need to have, or you need to be on. So that's what I'll say about that. From a college standpoint, definitely take care of what you got to take care of, and take advantage of your resources. You have counselors there for you. You have alumni there for you. You have teachers and professors and all these different resources for you. So don't just say, "Oh, I'm here to play soccer," or "I'm here to play basketball," or "I'm here to play football." It's like, yeah, I'm here to do that, but I'm also here to take advantage of this education. I'm here to take advantage of new friendships. I'm here to take advantage of, the alumni donor relationships. I'm here to
Yep.
take advantage of all these different things that are offered at college, that, sometimes you can't get anywhere else.
I like it. I like it, man. He's speaking that truth. I like it. I like it. So now we're at the bonus round of
Uh,
the questions.
okay.
Because of the fact that again, you essentially had that 1 year in school, and so and I say bonus round because for those that are fortunate enough to make it to the next level of their sport, what was that transition like? I mean, as I mentioned earlier, it's foreign to me about soccer, and I have a buddy who I would imagine is going to watch this. He has a son who's going through a similar process now. Um, what is it like? What is it? Just yeah, if you can just kind of dive into that. After your freshman year, you're suddenly thrust into going pro. How did that work out? How did that come about?
Yeah, it's really crazy. I mean, fortunately for me, at a young age, I was playing at a high level. I was on the youth national teams. I went to residency. UCLA was a top program, so I kind of got thrust into the fire a little bit, and saw what it was like to make it to that next level. But still, once you make it to that next level, and you're playing with, I was 18 when I got drafted, so I'm playing with guys 30 years old, 32. Like, they have kids that are like half my age.
Right.
Uh, it's like, wow, it's not just like you're playing with your boys and you're trying to win games. It's like, no, this is putting food on the table. This is money in my pockets. If I win, I get more money. If I lose, I might get cut. So understanding that mindset of it, whereas the worst that can happen at UCLA, if you're not playing well, is that they'll try to, like, frustrate you so you want to transfer, or
Wow.
they'll not play you. But when it's pro, they'll cut you or they'll trade you. And then, understanding that aspect of it, and then on top of that, just handling all the things that luckily at college, obviously you're still on your own, but you're still within a bubble.
Right.
Pro,
Right.
you on yourself. So they tell you, you're in Philly, they'll give you like a list of recommendations of where like it's cool spots to live, do the things like this. But at the end of the day, you got to find your own apartment. You got to find your
Yeah.
own house. You got to get your own groceries. I was fortunate enough to get the cafeteria food at UCLA. Now it's like, I don't know, I got to go to get the groceries. Now I got to cook. Now I got to do the dishes. Like I got to do that. Now I got to focus on my recovery. All these different things that at the pro level you don't really think of. But now it's like it's here. And if you want to continue to be a pro, you got to make sure you maximize those opportunities.
So from a financial standpoint, from the budgeting, I know you mentioned you really didn't deal with credit all that much, but how did that, I mean, were you just automatically just introduced to all that stuff as soon as you went pro and you had to navigate it at that point?
Oh yeah, that was interesting because I mean, I never had like a real job growing up.
Hmm.
I mean, I refed on the side, did some like side hustles and stuff, and a little bit of entrepreneurship, selling things at school like candy and chicken wings and stuff like that. But this was like a job, so I got my signing bonus, I got my like first bonus, and I was just like, oh, this is all mine. So
This is yours.
understanding like you gotta budget, you gotta know, all right, what do I have to pay for? What are my expenses? All right, now how much is coming in consistently on was a bi-weekly basis because we got paid first and the 15th. All right, so do I have to put a down payment? What's the security deposit, credit, debit, 401k? Do I use Roth? Do I use traditional? What's my percentage? They match it up to this much. So if I put this much, I get back this front. Like understanding all that. So I was asking a lot of questions. And as
Wow.
athletes, we have I don't want to say a stubbornness to ask questions because we usually are the ones that know it all. But
Right.
this is a whole different realm. So when it comes to
Yeah.
finances, be humble enough or have enough humility to ask questions. If you don't understand, ask again. If you don't understand, still ask again. If you don't
Yeah.
understand and they're not willing to teach you, ask someone else. So that's been my philosophy. I remember when I first tried to get an apartment my rookie year with my roommate, and they came up to us and were like, "Yeah, you guys don't have any credit." We're like, "What? Does that even matter? We could pay. Like we could like." My dad joked, he's like, they could buy the house if they wanted to. Like between the two contracts, they're like, but we don't have any proof. He's like,
Yeah.
they just got drafted to your city's team. No, so understanding credit and understanding like the concept of borrowing money and if you could pay it back and the interest if you borrow money and don't pay it back on time. All those things were uh, trial by fire, and
Yeah.
luckily, I had the right team around me to help me along the way on my financial journey. But it's
Hmm.
tough if you're by yourself. And at the end of the day, like I said earlier, no one's holding your hand. So if I have all this money in my account and I go shopping, it's like, okay, I could probably get that. I could probably get that too. I can get that. But for what reason? Do I need it? Do I want it? What's the
Right.
difference? And and like when it comes to investing, like, is this an investment in myself or is it just something that I can wear once or twice on the weekends and enjoy,
Yeah. The credit, I'm not going to say it's something that people don't talk about, but depending on your background, people have different philosophies about credit. Credit's the devil. Don't ever get a credit card. Or there's my thought has been, it is good if you use it correctly to get a
Yeah,
credit card while you're in school because you build that credit, you build that credit history. And like I said, with a lot of student athletes and throughout these interviews, if anybody ever watches them, that I keep telling the same story. At KU, we can just go up on campus and for a free T-shirt and a bag of Skittles, they
they
want you to
give
fill
you.
out a credit application and 2 weeks you get your credit card. No education around it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was one of the guys up there getting it because I wanted some Skittles. I like Skittles. Um, and so then, now you're thrust into this position of dealing with credit. You don't understand it, and you mess your credit up. And of course, I'm sure preaching to the choir. It takes a amount of time to get that credit corrected. And so now
Yeah,
by this time, you're already graduated from school. Maybe you're starting a family, you have a wife or what have you. And so if you're trying to get a car or a house, you're going to be paying more money. Um, and I'm saying that, and I think it's just really interesting when you touch on the fact that here I am. I was drafted. Me and my roommate, we can buy this house if we want. And they're still like, nah, you gotta have credit.
Yeah.
I think a lot of student athletes don't realize that. Even if the lucky ones that are very lucky to make it to the next level, you still need credit. It's still going to be
No,
there, or you're just going to be paying a lot more when it's all said and done.
no, you're
So
exactly right.
I'm glad. I'm so glad that you brought that up and you touched on it because I think a lot of guys who are in that position and they know that, hey, I'm going to go, top 10 or top 20 in draft, whether NBA or NFL or what have you. They have that concept that, yeah, I'm going to get drafted. I don't need credit. Yeah, yeah, you do. You do.
Yeah. No,
It
that's a
makes it a
great
lot
point.
easier.
I
Yeah.
always tell I always tell people I'm talking to or working with, it's like in elementary school, you if you had like an extra pencil and someone asked for it, you always was like, so this one may not give me that pencil back. So they don't have
Right.
good credit. But there's always that one person that will bring the pencil back, sharpen it up, make sure the eraser's good, and
Yes.
even give you something like in exchange for, letting them borrow the pencil. Whereas some guys like, oh no, I never took that pencil from you. So now you so it's like understanding like that concept when it comes to credit and borrowing and interest, I think it's very important for student athletes.
Yeah. No doubt. No doubt. Um, so yeah. So we talked about a little bit about going pro and just dealing with that. Um, now if you can just go in and dive into it, and like I said, this is kind of what gets my blood going. And like I said, once I saw your website, I'm like, wow, that's and it the way that everything happened. I saw the 30 for 30. Actually, that was some time ago. And then when I was kind of introduced, or one of the coaches mentioned my platform, I'm like, oh, I need a platform. I started kind of trying to build this out. Then I came across yours. I was like, wow, this guy's. I think I'm jealous. This guy's doing it. He's doing it.
No,
This is
no.
this is the type of platform that I want to at least expose people to. And with me, it's always been about exposure. I don't think anyone is dumb or stupid. It's
No.
just exposure. Are you exposed to what a mutual fund is, what a ETF exchange traded fund is, what a stock is, what a insurance policy is? So are you exposed to that stuff? And I think your site does a great job just really educating people on that type of stuff. So again, kudos to you for that. That I just think is a fantastic. And I also want to mention because I did see this. So Forbes 30 under 30, you made the
Oh,
Forbes
thank you,
30 under
sir.
30 list.
Yeah, very
That's awesome.
fortunate. Yeah, very fortunate. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I was able to receive that recognition December of last year. Yeah, 2020.
Nice. So how did that come about? Was it just the work that you've been doing off the field, and obviously they recognize that, or
Yeah, so mostly the work for Frugal Athletes. So the Force 30 under 30, they did their application process. I self-applied, so apparently they saw value in my application, and I made the second round. And from the second round, I made the list. So it was very fortunate. I didn't like get a warning that they were gonna announce it until my friend, texted me that morning. It was like, "Yo, congrats, you're on Forbes," and I was like, "I didn't do any article with Forbes. Like, what are you talking about?" But then he sent me the link, and I was like, "Oh, what? So they're not gonna give anyone a heads up?" And yeah, that's kind of how it went about.
that is awesome. So at this point, if you could just kind of talk about everything you got going on, I just kind of want this to be something that after school, you're pro. I mean, just let it all out, pump everything.
No, no, thank you so much. Give me the mic. All right.
Yeah,
Once
yeah.
again, thank you so much for this platform and having let me tell my journey and my story. But yeah, so a frugal athlete is essentially an online financial media platform that promotes prudent financial practices and smart career decisions amongst professional athletes and student athletes. Our ideal goal is to help athletes make, manage, and multiply their money through financial education and athlete empowerment. The reason why we talk about athletes is because of my own personal experiences, but also because athletes are natural trendsetters. So when you get to thinking athletes, if they're thinking about financial literacy, prudent financial practices, the fans, the consumers, the audience, the young kids that want to be professional athletes, now they're thinking about financial literacy in a more positive light, using the sports, terminologies to translate into financial terminology, using the athletes as roadmaps. That's what it's all about. So ultimately, our goal is to kind of be an ecosystem of like Penny Hoarder, Players Tribune, and Business Insider. That's what we want a frugal athlete to be. So if you come on the website, if you want to type in real estate, now you see a whole database of content around athletes that have gone into real estate through a number of different ways. And you're learning about like, the terminology around real estate, say stocks, say VC, say personal budgeting, side hustles, money management, all these different concepts when it comes to financial literacy. We want to be that kind of, um, that hub. So with that, we have a podcast network, over 3 different channels. We have a bi-monthly newsletter. So twice a month, our newsletter will come out to our subscribers. So make sure you guys subscribe to that. We have our social channels. Obviously, we connected via LinkedIn. Our Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, a little bit, TikTok now because apparently TikTok's popular, and we got to be on that as well. Even Clubhouse, like a new
Right.
app. It's unbelievable. These social content, you got to be everywhere apparently. And then we have video content as well. And written content on our website. So, and then we do. What else do we do? Sorry. We do workshops and speaking engagements. We have courses. So if there's any young student athletes that, have their eyes set on going pro, or a young athlete that's about to go pro, or within, the first 5 years of their career, we just came out with the rookie mistakes course late last year. And it's basically the whole playbook of how you can, start your career off on the right foot. A lot of athletes, their first couple years, they're trying to get used to everything, and now they're playing catch up. So with this rookie mistakes course is to help you avoid the common mistakes that rookies make, not only
Nice.
personal finance wise, but career wise, brand wise. And it's basically a playbook for you to, use in your own format, and hopefully give you a head start to, your future prosperous career.
Absolutely. So if you want to just hit it one more time with that link real quick.
Yeah, so if you guys check out www.frugalathlete.com, all our information is there: podcasts, YouTube content, written content, our courses, how to contact if you want, one-on-one consulting or coaching, or if you want us to do a workshop or speaking engagements for your organization or team. We are more than willing to help. That's what it's all about. Sharing the information that we've learned, and, giving it back in a engaging and educational way.
My man. That's
Nah,
awesome.
thank you. This has been amazing. I'm really happy to be on this platform.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on. And like I said, I love what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing.
No,
It's
perfect.
good.
So we're gonna have to play the roles reverse next time. So I got to do the
Hey, man, I'm
podcast, and you're
here.
gonna get on. Thank you so much. That's gonna mean a lot.
Yeah, just let me know.
Okay.
All right, brother. Well, I'll let you get back to it. Like I said, it was good talking with you, and you take care.
Yes, sir. Have a great day and weekend too.
Yep.
All
Yep.
right.
Bye-bye.